Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua on Sunday, March 9, 2025, made a bold and controversial allegation. He claimed that the Kenya Kwanza government had sold Bomas of Kenya to a Turkish national. Now let's hear from Gachagua himself.
Again, maneno ya corruption. Nimwambia rais, tuliahidi watu tutawafanyia kazi, serikali imekuwa ni wizi tupu. Today as we speak, Bomas of Kenya imeuziwa Mturuki. Bomas of Kenya imeenda.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is a heavy claim. But before we jump to conclusions, let's ask the most critical question. Is this claim true? Now, after Gachagua's explosive remarks, the government did not stay silent. Through Dennis Itumbi, a well-known insider and digital strategist for President Ruto, the government responded. Itumbi dismissed Gachagua's allegations, saying that Bomas of Kenya has not been sold. Instead, he claimed, the government is upgrading it into an international hub, adding sporting facilities to make it a world-class venue. Let's hear from Dennis Itumbi himself.
The impeached Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua lied. Unfortunately, he lied in church. He took the microphone on the pulpit of church before religious leaders and lied. And it is not the first time he's lying. Bomas of Kenya is being turned into a global center for MICE meetings and international conferences so that it can be able to host the biggest meetings for us, for country, and to ensure that Kenya benefits from that tourism of MICE. But of course, it's simpler to sell lies.
Now, dear viewers, after listening to both sides, one thing is clear. Gachagua was not just rumor-mongering. His claim is rooted in something real. But what exactly is happening? Is Bomas really being sold? Or is it just an upgrade, as Itumbi claims? But there's something very interesting here. While Itumbi dismissed the sale allegations, he did not deny the involvement of a Turkish national, and this alone proves that Gachagua was not fabricating his claim. So, the next big question is, who is this Turkish national? Well, folks, your guess is as good as mine. Harun Aydin. Let's connect the dots. Harun Aydin is not just any businessman, he is one of William Ruto's closest international allies. If you recall, in 2021, Harun Aydin was deported from Kenya under the Uhuru Kenyatta administration over allegations of financing terrorism. For those who may not remember that high-stakes drama between Ruto, Uhuru and Harun Aydin, I have pinned the video for you. Watch it for full context. Now fast forward to 2025, and here we are again. Harun Aydin's name resurfacing in yet another major controversy. Who is Harun Aydin? The billionaire behind the shadows. Make no mistake, Harun Aydin is not an ordinary man. He is a high-level businessman, dealing in billions of US dollars. In fact, rumors have long circulated that he was among those who funded Ruto's 2022 presidential campaign. So when Gachagua claims that a Turkish national is involved, we don't need to crack our heads trying to figure out who that could be. It's almost certainly Harun Aydin. Now, let's think logically. Would a businessman buy Bomas of Kenya? Does it make any sense? Dear viewers, you and I both understand one thing. The primary goal of a businessman is profit. No investor, let alone one dealing in billions, will spend money on a project unless there is a clear financial return. And that brings us to the million-dollar question. What is the function of Bomas of Kenya? And if Harun Aydin were to buy it, what profit would he make from it? And more importantly, why would a businessman like Harun Aydin be interested in it? Bomas of Kenya is not just another venue. It is not just another piece of real estate. This is the heartbeat of Kenya's cultural heritage. Established in 1971, its core mission has never been about profit-making. Instead, It serves as a living museum that preserves, promotes and showcases the traditions of Kenya's 42+ ethnic groups. Now, let's be honest. Would any serious businessman invest in something that does not generate massive profits? Why would a foreigner like Harun Aydin buy a facility dedicated to preserving Kenyan culture? What possible gain could he derive from an institution that holds Kenya's origin, beliefs and traditions? Yes, Bomas does generate revenue, but that has never been its primary goal. This isn't about whether you support Gachagua or not. It's about dissecting the facts and finding the truth. However, one thing is clear. Rigathi Gachagua opened our eyes to a possible backroom deal that we might never have noticed. But do we agree that Harun Aydin bought Bomas of Kenya? Absolutely not. A foreigner cannot own the very institution that safeguards Kenya's cultural heritage. That claim simply does not add up. So where does Harun Aydin fit into all this? Now, to answer this $1 million question, we must revisit what Dennis Itumbi said, that the government is not selling Bomas of Kenya, but rather upgrading it by adding more facilities, including sports arenas. And upgrading a facility requires one thing: construction. This is where Rigathi Gachagua's claim about a Turkish national begins to make sense. The name was not pulled from thin air, it was a real person. And now we all agree, this Turkish national is none other than Harun Aydin, William Ruto's trusted international ally. Now you may be wondering, how does Harun Aydin, a businessman, connect to construction? Well, let me tell you. The tender to upgrade Bomas of Kenya was awarded to Harun Aydin's construction company. When Gachagua mentioned a Turkish national and Itumbi spoke about construction, the pieces of the puzzle fit perfectly. Gachagua wasn't lying, he just exaggerated. There was no sale, but there was a major government contract awarded to a Turkish businessman. Now let's ask the next big question. Why was Harun Aydin awarded this tender, and when did it happen? There have long been rumors that Harun Aydin was one of the key financiers of William Ruto's 2022 presidential campaign. A good example of another campaign financier, Mansour bin Zayed Al Nahyan, the UAE deputy ruler, a billionaire whose influence in global business is unmatched. Now, if Harun Aydin indeed played a role in funding Ruto's campaign, ask yourself, would he fund a candidate without expecting something in return? Of course not. Businessmen don't donate, they invest. And what do they expect in return? Government tenders. That is exactly what President William Ruto is doing, rewarding his international financiers with lucrative contracts. For instance, let's look at Mansour bin Zayed Al Nahyan. He is among the beneficiaries of SHA through Apiro Limited, a company linked directly to him. This is how Ruto is rewarding those who funded his campaign. And this isn't the first time. Remember Zimbabwean tycoon Sir Wicknell? Another major campaign financier. But that's a story for another day. So what exactly did Harun Aydin get? To find out the full extent of his government tenders, we must dig deeper. Which other projects has Harun Aydin been awarded? Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a step back for a moment. William Ruto was sworn in as Kenya's president on September 13th, 2022. Now here's where things get interesting. The man we all thought had been deported, never to set foot in Kenya again, suddenly resurfaced. Not only was Harun Aydin back, but he was also spotted dining and celebrating at State House, Kenya, looking happier than ever. Why? Because he knew what was coming. Imagine this. Your salary arrives on the 2nd of every month. That anticipation and joy you feel on the evening of the 1st. That's exactly how Harun Aydin must have felt. He had invested millions of dollars in William Ruto's presidential campaign. And now his moment had arrived. It was time to reap where he had sown. One thing about William Ruto, he is always 10 steps ahead. If he was going to reward Harun Aydin, It had to be done strategically. Let's break this down. If you were to be awarded a contract to treat cows, you'd need to be a veterinarian. You can't be a fishmonger and suddenly be handed a contract to supply eggs. The same applies here. Harun Aydin had never been in the construction industry. His business expertise was in the energy sector. So how was William Ruto going to integrate him into Kenya's construction industry? Just recently, Nation media reported that Harun Aydin had secured a massive government tender to construct 100,000 affordable housing units. But here's what they didn't tell you. When we dug deeper, we discovered something shocking. Harun Aydin registered a company called MHOA Africa Limited in March 2023, just 6 months after William Ruto took office. This newly registered company, with no known prior construction experience, was awarded 1. A contract to construct 100,000 affordable housing units. 2. A contract to upgrade Bomas of Kenya. So, what does this mean? At this point, one thing is clear. Rigathi Gachagua wasn't entirely wrong. He was right that something suspicious was happening with Bomas of Kenya. He was right that a Turkish national was involved. And we have now confirmed that person to be Harun Aydin. But he exaggerated the claim about Bomas being sold. You know how politicians love to stir the pot, and in this case, Gachagua stirred it just a bit too much. So, dear viewers, today we have uncovered Harun Aydin, once deported, is now a major player in Kenyan government contracts. He registered MHOA Africa Limited just months after Ruto took office. He was awarded massive contracts, including housing and Bomas upgrades. Gachagua had a point, but he exaggerated the sale of Bomas. And with that, we wrap up today's investigation. Before you go, if you found value in this analysis, do me a favor. Smash that like button, share this video. Subscribe to Lifelens TV for more hard-hitting investigative content. Until next time, stay curious and I'll see you in the next video.